a voice on the right or a voice on the left. We have freedom of speech in this country. And we can hear the argument, we can hear the side and make up our own mind.
Amen.
I want to thank each one of you for the courage to show up to this event tonight. It is courageous to show up to events like this. You know, if you post anything on Facebook, that half your friends list is going to tell you you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're this, you're that, and the other. Not your friends. You go through your friends list.
My friends in America. 99%
Y'all hang tight. We're going to get started here in just a few minutes. They had to shush me because I was making noise coming up the stairs while they were doing their interview. Ashley's going to get y'all up to speed on everything, and we're going to get going with it. Okay? All right. Does anybody need anything that I can get for you? I'm sorry about this. This is the oldest restaurant building in Arlington, by the way. I'll give you a quick history. All the people, you see their pictures on the wall, those are people that have actually been in this restaurant. This used to be the meeting ground of the Dallas Syndicate and the Fort Worth Syndicate. This was the peace place that they come to. And right down the road, about half a mile down the road, is a place called Top of Hill Terrace. It's an underground casino. It's really, and the Baptists drove them out. Now it's a Baptist college. And Benny Binion used to be headquartered out of the Metroplex, and then they drove him out, and that's why you have Binion's Horseshoe Casino out in Las Vegas. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. If y'all will welcome to the stage Ashton Stauffer. She's running for mayor of Arlington. She has the courage to talk about these important issues. Many people don't know that Arlington has become a de facto sanctuary city because our mayor and our chief of police refuse to adhere to the state law, Texas Against Sanctuary Cities. It's SB2 from 2017. It went to the courts. The courts said, we give you the option. The police can either adhere to it or not adhere to it. And our police is choosing not to adhere to it. Many of our government contracts are going to companies that hire illegal aliens. And this is not an ethnic issue. This is a respect for law issue. We have many people who their voices within their community has been silenced because they're not allowed to go with a different opinion than what everybody else says. So thank you again for all of your courage. If you will, please welcome to the stage candidate for mayor and my wonderful, lovely wife, Ashton Stauffer.
Finally, boy, it's hot in here. I'm sorry about that. The truth is we got shut down at 2 different venues and we had to settle on Jambo's division. I don't really think that's a bad thing because we had food to sit around. The boy, it's hot. So I'm really excited. I got to spend a lot of really good time with Sheriff Joe. He's an incredible, incredible man. He is coming down the stairs right now. We're so lucky to have him that he was disinvited twice and still took our invite no matter what we had to do. You know, the way I feel about it, Arlington is big enough to be an example for the large cities, small enough to be an example for the small cities. Whatever we allow to go on here is going to run rampant throughout the country. So if we let them stand and shut down our freedom of speech here, you can expect that in the rest of the country. So we're not going to have that, and I'm not going to have that, just as Ashton, the citizen of Arlington, not especially being candidate for mayor of Arlington, Texas. So, thank you so much.
Right.
So it's hot, and I'm sweaty, and I wish I would have worn that shirt, but that's okay. And Sheriff Joe's going to be here any second. He was telling us an incredible story about he was the first one to support President Trump, and whatever President Trump is his true personal hero. He never had a personal hero before, but it's his personal hero, and well, I can get behind that. I know that. He's the first president I chose to vote for, so I make the voting booth for that. And, you know, running for mayor of Arlington, Texas, we want to put Arlington citizens first. We're going to put our locally owned businesses first. Don't let them tell tell you we can't do anything about illegal immigration here at the local level because we absolutely can, and it's definitely not standing beside our chief of police as he writes his name to a letter against Texas against sanctuary cities. No, we can instruct them. I've done it professionally. We can instruct them to call ICE when we have illegal immigrants show up in our jail system. Instead of pushing them right back out into our city, we can call them and have them deported. I've done it. I've been a 911 call take, jailer, and dispatcher. It's an easy job to do, so there's no excuses. We can also celebrate people who have come here the right way, set a tone of respect legally. We can teach them English well, teach them our rich culture and history so they can make this their home. We want to do that. And we also, everyone's certainly getting upset about their new valuations on their property taxes.
Amen.
That is not an accident. It certainly isn't a coincidence that Mayor Williams' property tax devalued by $50,000. A lot of people don't know that. How interesting. So we can set a mechanism in place that is the effective property tax rate. And without further ado, Sheriff Joe is ready to enlighten us and excite us and get us invigorated for this great man who's served this country in so many different ways. Sheriff Joe.
Okay, thank you. I had to walk down some stairs here. I survived for you guys. Anyway, thank you for being here. I decided after talking to Ashton Stauffer, did I pronounce that right? Stauffer. I had a guy named Stauffer who ran against me 4 years ago. He didn't win, but she's going to win. So I didn't know whether, actually I never met her before. I liked her barbecue. That's what swung me over to endorse her. I like what she stands for. One thing I do like, other than this, I'll get into immigration and the president, but she's a big advocate for small business. I spent 57 years in law enforcement, but I also ran a business for 10 years with my wife. One thing I learned, if you work hard in small business, you will be rewarded. And I believe that about 80% of businesses in our country are small business. So that's another thing I like about her. But the main thing is that she had the courage to maybe go against the grain.
Amen.
Go against the establishment. I don't want to say garbage because I love Texas. You don't have garbage in Texas. You may have in Washington.
What about Beto?
Actually, I have a connection with
Robert Francis Beto. Not Robert.
Who's Robert?
Exactly.
Senator.
Here?
Yeah.
What's his name? Oh, the guy in Texas? Talking about the Irish guy? I got to be careful not to ask where he's from because I'll be accused of racial profiling. So I'm afraid to ask anybody where you're from because they'll call me a racist.
His name is Robert Francis O'Rourke.
Yeah, he's got the right to run. You almost beat your senator, you know. Of course, I was with, let me put it this way, did I mention George Bush? Did I mention him? I was his honorary campaign chairman for Arizona. Remember Rick Perry? I was his honorary campaign manager for him. than I was for Mitt Romney, but that's a different story. But my guy, after dealing with all these people that run for president, and I don't know why they want this little old sheriff endorsement, but every time there's presidential races, they all come to me for my endorsement. So I must be doing something right, or they must have been drunk. Oh, who said hero? Can I answer that? You brought up hero. So let me go back to the president, the current president. And his first speech was July 2015, Phoenix, Arizona, 1 month after he announced. About 10,000 people showed up. I think there's 18 people running, including your Senator, Cruz, and nobody was standing next to him. I was one or two people. I introduced him. They never met the man before. But I had a little experience dealing with presidential candidates. I just ran that by him. So I said, we have three things in common. Where's the flag? We're on the same day, Flag Day. A couple other things I don't want to talk about right now, about birth certificates. It's amazing you know what I mean. I may be talking about my birth certificate. Or my father and mother came here from Italy, legally. And then I said something where everybody started cheering. I said there's a silent majority out there. Everybody started cheering. And that's what's going to carry him in the next election, is that silent majority. I don't want to keep harping on this, but you laid the foundation. You mentioned the word hero, so I'm leading up to something. I don't want to bore you people, but okay. So last year, NBC interviewed him, and the question was, is John McCain your hero? And I paused. You know, that's a tough one, because everybody in Arizona, he's the hero. So I said this. I said it took me 75 years to find my hero. Now, I didn't say 85 years, because the first 10 kids probably don't know how to spell hero. So I said 75 years to find my hero. And that was President Trump. Now, one thing about me, if you're all Democrats here, I don't know, maybe you are, I don't care. Because when I speak from the heart. Unfortunately, a lot of people in Washington that he has surrounded himself with, and I've had a couple high-level jobs in D.C., I know how to operate, is, you know, people take the job, maybe to get their name in the paper, or to say they work for the president, but are they really for the president of the United States? Think of that. So that's where the hero came up, regarding my hero. And as I said, everybody, bless you have heroes. I'm not against it. I'm talking about me personally. That's my hero, and it'll be my hero to the end. I don't flip-flop and change like some politicians do. They see how the wind is blowing, and then all at once they become a Trump fan. So the other reason he's my hero is a personal reason. My wife came down with cancer during the time this biased federal judge was going after me for a contempt of court, that I didn't obey his orders in 2011. I'm not going to get into his bias. I'm not going to get into the actors involved in the Steele dossier hooked up with me and the same ones going after the president. So I got a little history to talk about, and I'm going to get this off my chest before you ask the question. I did submit a 26-page report to the Department of Justice. I want an investigation of everything this biased court and the Obama administration did to me, and Trump should do the same thing. As for the investigation, how they try to hang him, and I lived through the same thing. I didn't ask for a pardon. He knew in his own gut, told him that I was railroaded 60 days after Obama took office at Holder. It took him 8 years to get me on a contempt of court. Now, I don't usually go after the news media. I've always gotten along with the media through my career, 58 career around the world, and sure for 24 years. And sometimes we have to say they're a little biased, and sometimes they can do things without even saying anything, like not covering the stories. So I never sued anybody. I think I sued Obama one time, and everybody sues me when I go to the toilet. So I am suing the New York Times. I am suing Como of CNN. I am suing the Rolling Stones. I am suing Huffington Post. Now, why am I doing that? I don't like suing the media, but it's time that someone stands up and goes after the media. Now, the New York Times is a different story, but the other three, why am I suing them? Because everyone has called me a convicted felon. I am not a convicted felon. And I will talk something about our two ex-senators. I think they were Republicans. So even McCain, in his book, after his blasphemy, he called me a convicted felon. So, but I'm not going to sue him. He's going after the news media.
He's being sued already.
I've got to send a message to the news media, stop it. The news media is very lazy. They'll see convicted felon in one newspaper, they're too lazy to do their story themselves, so they copy everybody. Before you know it, the whole world calls me a convicted felon. Now, I don't like being called a convicted felon. I got 2 parking tickets in my whole life. 2. I'm not saying I didn't deserve a few more, but think of that. Here I am, 58 years in law enforcement, sitting in a criminal defense table over a contempt of court. Wouldn't give me a jury trial. Charged me with the wrong charges. This is Obama's Justice Department. So I'm going to get away from that. I'm done talking about that. But just in case you're thinking in your own mind. So I'm not done yet. Not done yet. Now we'll talk about illegal immigration. I'm sure the timing is appropriate right now with what's going on with our president. In fact, no matter how the immigration thing turns out, you have to give Trump credit. You know why? I was with him. He's the first one that talked about illegal immigration. Then all the other candidates had to do it. Of course, they all wanted this to disappear. They didn't want to talk about illegal immigration in their campaign, but he opened the door. So they all had to talk about it. Now, I have a soft spot in my heart for Texas. No, I'm not trying to butter you up. I'm not running for anything, you know. So the thing is, my daughter was born in San Antonio. I was head of the federal drug enforcement way back in the 60s. I remember they sent me from Chicago to Istanbul, Turkey, so I had to cover Turkey and the Middle East. One agent, me, and have the gun battles and try to stop the French Connection and all that. So I told the commissioner, hey, when you send me back, I want to go to a nice place. I deserve a nice place. Oh, I guess he heard of Texas. So sent me to Texas. That was fine. My daughter was born there, Santa Rosa Hospital. I covered the Brownsville to El Paso border way back. So, and then I also covered Arizona on another assignment. So I have all those years as a federal guy covering that border. So I knew a little about Mexico. Now I remember 1969, actually President Johnson, I was at the White House, he's another guy from Texas. I seen him have connections with Texas president. I knew him. So in '69, under Nixon, I was very active in leading Operation Intercept, where President Nixon said, we're going to close the border. And I ran that operation with G. Gordon Liddy. We didn't actually close the border. We did close some parts of the border, but for 2 weeks, nobody could come into this country without being searched, which backed up traffic probably all the way to Mexico City. That was innocent. You leaving? Who are you with? You're leaving me? Why is she leaving? I didn't get, huh? I didn't get to the hot stuff yet. Oh, you'll be back? Okay. They're not going to show me. Fox doesn't even show me anymore.
Only Alex Jones.
Intercept. Then I became the director. Right after that, the mission was accomplished because Nixon said, I'm bringing this up way back, '69. Nixon said, we're going to take away your foreign aid, no more money. So the operation worked, at least law enforcement wise, because they didn't catch any drugs coming over. And then I took over Mexico City and South America, Central America as the regional director. So they hated us in Mexico. So I had to try with my great diplomacy to get Mexico back on our side, because that's a critical country for drugs coming from there and around the world. So how do I do that? Well, Attorney General would come to my house. My wife, 61 years, of course she wasn't, we weren't married then at 61 years. Good cook, blueberry pie. Attorney General loved blueberry pie. Pump out the blueberry pie. Went to the PX, got American whiskey. I got more done with blueberry pie and American whiskey than a big stick. And I worked with Noriega. I had an office in Panama. Remember him? I dealt with him too. So the reason I bring this up, let's go back to President Trump. Why did they criticize him when he meets with Putin and the Rocket Man, the North Korean guy. What's wrong with meeting with your enemies and going in the back room? Now, he doesn't smoke or drink, so he can't light up a cigar, but he can speak and talk about the president. What's wrong with dealing, if you want to call them enemies, which we'll say they are, and try to get things resolved behind the closed doors and going to war and everything? That's the theory I used when I was over there. Go meet with them, have some whiskey, and try to resolve things in a different way. So I get very angry when they criticize him. Oh, he's meeting with Putin, he's meeting with a Korean guy. What's he accomplishing? Well, you don't know long range what's being accomplished. The president has a method to what he does. Has a method. So right now we're in an illegal immigration so-called crisis. He said, close the border. That's causing uproar everywhere. He talks about the wall. I'm for the wall. Okay. You know, all these politicians, if they want to get some media, all they have to do is, I'm for the wall. They know everybody's going to,
Build the dang wall.
build the dang wall. The only reason they say it, they want Trump's support. Okay, let's put the cards on the table. Cards on the table. I started this fight in 2006. And that's when I had the authority from the government to do it. I had the authority, my people were trained. Now they're going after me for doing my job. But the wall is important for another reason. We're being flooded with drugs. Trump was the first one to throw drugs. And I always wondered, through my 24 years as sheriff, why when all these politicians go down to the wall, you know, get their photo out, and probably a good Mexican meal, they wouldn't know where Mexico is. You know, we got to stop illegal immigration. We got to stop illegal immigration. We got to get Congress to do something. I've been saying that since 2006. So why are they talking about illegal immigration? Why do they talk about the drugs? If they were smart, they would throw that in, because then people will say, well, we don't agree with the illegal immigration, but we really need the wall to stop the drugs. They don't talk about it. So my point is, since I spent, how many years fighting the drugs, is we need the wall to keep the drugs out of our country. Now, I don't know what's going on. There is no closing the border right now. He's taking a lot of heat. Of course, whatever he does, he takes heat. He goes to the toilet and uses toilet paper, and it becomes a story. I remember he was going on Air Force One. He had a piece of toilet paper stuck on his heel. That became a national story. Toilet paper on your heel. I can't even go to the toilet and go up to Air Force One without making news. You figured it out. That wall was being built way before. This isn't a brand new wall concept. That wall under Bush, Obama, they start building it. Nobody complained. Why are they complaining now that he wants to build a wall or finish it? Because his name is Trump. That's the only reason. Believe me. And that's sad. Very sad. Of course, I went a step further, and I don't give the president advice. I'm not going to say if I met him in private what we talk about. I'm not that type of guy that would meet the president, come out, have the big press conference. We talked about this, we talked about that. I don't do that. If he wants to say something, let him say it, not me. So he's trying to do what he can to stop this influx of people from Central America. I covered all those countries when I was head of the Federal Drug Enforcement. I understand the corruption in those countries and revolutions. I've been there when these things were going on. But what I would do, and this is going to sound a little tough, and actually I did this in the media, they don't even cover it. They don't want to cover anything I say, even if it's, well, if it's negative, they'll do it. But the point is, why don't we send the U.S. Army, not at the border, into Mexico? We got armies all around the world. So if we have a terrorist problem, drug problem, illegal immigration problem, why don't we use our military? Now, I'm saying bilateral. I'm not saying invade Mexico. You get together with the president of Mexico. Hey, we want to help you. We're going to give you military assistance on all those people crossing into your country from Central America. We're going to stop it right there with our military and your military working together. Now, if anybody wants to accuse me of being nuts, I got news for them, because when I was there, we did use the military to help fight the drugs. So don't go around telling me I'm saying something that's so stupid. Actually, it makes sense. But you got to get the Mexicans to buy into it first. And I think with Trump, pretty good negotiator, maybe he could swing it. I'm not telling him what to do. I don't speak out very much. If you notice on my Twitter and my Facebook, I got a lot of followers. I've been talking about a lot of other things. I don't want to say anything that might hurt what he's planning or what he's doing, because I'm not at the White House. I don't know the whole story. But when I introduced him in July, I had a tough job of introducing him on all these campaigns. I'll tell you why. He's one candidate, and his candidate people never told me, don't say this, you might hurt him on something you say that's wrong. So I had to bluff my way when I introduce him, hoping I don't say the wrong thing. Even if I did, he wouldn't criticize it. But fortunately, we go through the same highway together, because I would say 96% he and I on the same highway. Think of that. And I don't get briefed, just my gut feeling. Either I'm psychic or something, or they got my telephones tapped, which they did. The Justice Department did tap both on my phones. That's another story. So that's my situation. So what do we do today? I know you got rid of the Homeland Security guy, gal, and then I see he fired the Secret Service guy. Both of those people were hired by Kelly, used to be the chief of staff, and he's hired a few more. I'm not saying that's the reason, but he is exercising his authority as the president, and I like to call him a CEO too, because if you're running a business, and you hire people that aren't in with your program, you ought to fire them. Businessmen's not going to put up with this stuff. You fire them. So what's wrong with him firing people that are not following his policy? When you work for somebody, you should be following what they want, whether you're the president or you're not the president. That's only good management. It makes sense. So I don't understand why they criticize him every time he wants to fire somebody or change.
Because they hate him.
Washington is a very difficult place to be. He's fighting a tough battle with the, what do you call it, the swamp. My wife was bitten by a rattlesnake a few days ago. She's been in intensive care for days, but I still sneaked away to come down here and running back. Actually, my wife got more publicity than I get. I got to give my wife credit. They all love my wife, of course they don't love me. That's okay. I've been married 61 years in Chicago, I married her. So that's all right. So, my wife, of course I made a mistake. You know, at first I didn't think it was that serious. Then they found out the rattlesnake was like that and bit her, and she had to be rushed to intensive care. Of course, what I did, you know me, I joke, I said, listen to the Democrats, rattlesnakes. Of course, we have a lot of two-legged snakes around, too. So she's okay, she's home recuperating. And so what I have to say about the illegal immigration is it's a sad situation going on. And a lot of politics involved, unfortunately. It's all politics. Nobody cares. I think we locked up more illegals than anybody in the country when I was sheriff. I took a little heat on that. But I was right. They had the authority. But they wanted me out. And they got me out in the general election where Soros pumped in $3 million against me. And then when they went after me in court, they announced they want to convict me of contempt of court, put me in jail for 6 months, and that's during an election. That isn't before. That's when people are voting, putting this up. So that's sad. I've been a loyal guy with the feds. I joined the Army when the Korean War broke out. I was 12 years old then. I always talk to the kids. To tell you what I do. When I talk to the kids, I say, how old do you think I am? I want them to give you a clue. They take out their little machine. I have a flip-flopper. I have a Smith Corona typewriter. I have a Twitter. I tell my people. You're real sure if Joe and then on Facebook. So they can't even use that. I said, okay, I joined the Army in 1950. I was 18 years old. How old am I? They can't figure it out. Okay, I became sheriff when I was 60 years old. I've been sheriff for 24 years. How old am I? They still can't figure it out. Everybody's a slave to that. I found out you can even get pornography on that thing, I guess. I don't know. Think of that. What's this country coming to? I'm a big gun guy. Texas, you carry guns? Okay. I went against the grain again. I had a posse. You know, you guys know what posse is. Remember the old days? Texas Rangers, posse. I had my posse, 3,000. And I had 500 with guns. And I sent them out to help my deputies enforce the law. So we had the shooting in Colorado. Right after that, I went public. I did a media thing. And I said, if anybody ever is in a forum like this, for example, someone comes in, they start shooting, I would expect someone in the audience to have a gun and shoot the guy. The cops aren't going to show up that quick. And then right after that, California happened. But I took some hits on that. But it's only common sense. Now we have a new law in Arizona. You don't even need a permit for a concealed weapon. So I've been very tough on the guns. They want to take away your guns. I don't see in Arizona ordinary citizens shooting other citizens. I'm Italian. I remember being in Italy. Nothing against the Italians. I was a big supporter. You know, sometimes they get out of the car and they start waving. You chip my car and this goes on. Sometimes the one that's going to take the gun around here, not here. Some places will take the gun and shoot you.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening much in Arizona. It's the bad guys.
Yeah.
There's a war on cops. All they want to do is get rid of the cops. And it becomes a racial situation too. Depends who's shooting who. You got county attorneys, district attorneys, mayors. All they want to do once the video comes out, make sure you put that on and call the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. We want to open a racial profiling case before the facts are even there. Now, I don't know where I'm at. I think I'm next to Dallas, right?
Far from Dallas.
So I don't know if this is a sanctuary place, but I think that the cops, when you stop somebody and they're illegal, lock them up. I'm not talking about just grabbing them because they look like they're Mexican. I mean stopping them on some other violation when it's traffic. Lock them up. Get them deported.
Yes.
Common sense.
Yes.
I had 2,000 people my last 2 years. I did a survey. 10,000 people in the jails. I have usually 8,000 a day, but this is 10,000 during 2 months. They were in jail for murder and other crimes, plus they're here illegally. So guess what? 39% of them came back to the same jails I run. One guy came back 15 times. So how can people charged with a crime that should be deported, that we do our job and investigate them and turn them over to ICE, and they keep coming back because they were letting them on the streets free. So think of that. This is going on under Obama. Now the president had the right idea because every time they used to come over, they dump them back again. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So now when they come over, they're going to be charged with coming over our country illegally. What's wrong with that? Why do you kick them back and forth, back and forth? A lot of things that Trump says makes sense. But when you look at the media and you look at all these activists, politicians, they twist everything around to make him look like he's a bad guy. They don't think of what happened in the past. Same things were going on. It's all because of him and the politics. So I know Senator Cruz, in fact I was a delegate to the convention to make sure Cruz did not steal it from Trump. That's the reason I went down there. And I had prime time speech at the end. I won't go into what brought me on the stage, but it was prime time. So I was with the man, and I'm with him. One person said, well, if he goes to jail, are you still going to support him? Yeah, I'm still going to support him. Probably would be a frame job anyway, like they try to do to me. So I'm going to support him. I don't change my colors because of the politics or anything else. How much more time? I got time for questions? Who's in charge?
You are.
Make America great again.
Oh, yeah.
He must be an Obama guy. That's not the real one.
Them slight wars around here.
I have a question regarding those that come here legally. I had an employee, she was actually the manager, she had a college degree. They make it so difficult for them to get legal. She, just a poor person, college graduate, $30,000 before she gave up.
To be here legally.
She was here legally, but she tried now. And she called me when President Trump she no longer worked for me. She called me, she said, don't tell anybody, but I voted for Trump. I'm a U.S. citizen now. I mean, I get goosebumps just thinking about it. But she can see through everything, even though it took her $30,000 of her own money to become a U.S. just legal, and then from then she went on to become.
So when I used to raid these businesses, they don't do it now. I'm not going to say the guy that beat me, and that's something I don't even talk about that guy. All the tents, everything's gone. But that's Soros. He wanted that and he got it. So, you know what's sad? I always said it's a fairness issue. Fairness more than probably anything else. Why would businesses, if you're a business person, you follow the law, you make sure your employees are here legally, you may have to charge them and pay them more money, yet these other businesses hire illegals and they don't even have to pay them that much money and they get by with it. That's not fair. And it's not fair for all the people that came here legally.
But they make it too hard for those people to become legal.
They want all the illegals they can get for the vote. There was something fishy in my campaign, believe me. I lost that campaign.
Citizenship isn't a cheap handout.
So Trump is on that. It's not just the border issue. It's who you let in here. It's a privilege to be in this country. My mother and father came here legally. And by the way, I'm not ashamed to say I'm Italian descent. I'm very proud of my ethnic background. And always you should be proud of where you came from. You're Americans, yes. But always remember what made this country great are the immigrants that came here, whether they're from Mexico, Italy, China, I don't care where they came from, made this country great. He's just trying to do something about it. And make sure everybody's here illegally, not flooding this country. And he has the right to decide who's coming in here.
Yes, he does.
So why is everybody after him and so on? Well, we all know why. Next question, please. Yes.
You know, good to see you finally. My father and my older uncle are named and described on a naturalization document, both of whom were born on American soil. My grandfather was born in a foreign country. He came here legally, but yet they and he had to be named and described on a naturalization document. Actually, my grandmother, who was born on American soil with 2 American parents, also was named on that naturalization document because it was after the Expatriation Act of 1907. And to me, the fact that, to me, that's proof positive that just being born on American soil does not make you an American citizen. You have to also be subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. My grandfather came here legally. He had to have a job waiting for him. He had to have the skill that we needed. And he didn't get to break into the country. And it just really ticks the heck out of me that we don't follow the
Do you have a birth certificate?
Does he have a birth certificate? Yeah, my father has a birth certificate.
Is it a real one? Is he willing to show anybody his birth certificate?
I've got a copy of it. I got a copy of that paper.
You're not afraid to, if the media say, I want to see the birth certificate, will you be afraid to show it to them?
No.
Because you know you have one.
With me.
I'm not talking about, I'm just getting into birth certificates. I'm not talking about everything. But I'm going to say one thing about that, and that's what I'm not going to talk about. I've been in law enforcement 56 years. I was a top official in Mexico, Arizona, and Texas as a federal guy. Plus sheriff 24 years right next to the border almost. So I think I know where the border is, okay? Also, I've done corruption investigations in my career.
Thank you.
So when I'm not that stupid. I'm kind of conservative. I may speak sometimes, joke or speak out, but I know how far I can go. And I know how far I can go when I do an investigation. I do know this. I'm not stupid. If the Tea Party comes to me and says, you're the only one left that will do this, I'm not saying what, will do this, and I look at when I got sworn in to enforce all the laws, and I look at me being an elected sheriff, not a police chief that has to deal with the mayor's city council and be careful what they say. A sheriff is supposed to be dealing directly with the people.
Yeah.
That's why you should always select a sheriff, regardless of whether you get the right one in there, okay? So I'm not that stupid. I knew if I took this on, this would follow me the rest of my life. But I know 100% that that's a fake doctor.
Yeah.
No, not by what you're saying was Negro. No, I have other proof. But nobody will talk about it. There's no one in the unit. Yeah, but I'm not saying you're nobody, but you're not a politician.
Ran for office.
You did?
I actually did.
What'd you run for?
Justice of the Peace, Precinct 5 in Tarrant County.
Woo!
And you actually endorsed me.
You did?
It was a Democrat area, in that one area.
I endorsed you and you lost?
I know.
President
It's a very Democrat area.
Well, we're going to break that trend because we're going to have a mayor of this place that
The only Republicans who have ever even attempted to run there.
Well, bless you for giving it a shot. I don't know who she is. How did I do it over a phone?
Oh, we met.
We did?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, I just think that you haven't said anything about the fact that Marxian doctrine and Marxian influence in the progressive movement within the Democratic Party, these things are good people don't fully appreciate and understand how Marxian doctrine is fueling a lot of the dissent. And it goes all the way back to the Vietnam War, okay? And Nixon's battle that he had. And we are still at war with those people who are Marxian.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought up Vietnam. I know what you're talking about. Anybody from a veteran? Oh, you guys are? Okay. Maybe the next mayor can talk about it. I've always taken care of veterans. I had 200 in jail, so I isolate them. Maybe they have a little extra good food other than a bologna sandwich. But I've been a big supporter of the veterans. When this guy, the football player, not the Cowboys, but the other one, the San Francisco, whatever you call him. Remember the guy who kneeled? So the same day I took the veterans and put them in the tents, and they stood up, put their hand here, and he did the national anthem. And they're arrested, but they still love their country. And they didn't do what that football guy. Trump was right. Should have been fired the same day. And he was right on that. But on the Vietnam, that confuses me. Maybe you guys can answer this. And I speak to a lot of veterans groups. I never, to this day, hear anybody, politician, say what they did to our veterans when they came home. It seems like to be almost like certificates. You don't want to talk about it, cover it up. Why don't they get here? Because I always talk to Vietnam to make sure I'm not lying. I want to make sure I'm right. I happen to be in the hills of Turkey at that time they came home, and they get spit on for just doing their job for their country. It's nice talking about the current military, but why do we forget how they treated our Vietnam veterans? And don't be ashamed, this country, to mention it. Maybe we learned a lesson in that period. It's not fair for the Vietnam veterans to be treated the way they were. So I don't understand, first of all, why America did do it, and second of all, why we don't talk about it. It's just like it doesn't exist. Anybody got an answer for that?
Liberals don't talk about it because they want you to forget history.
Of course.
They don't want you to remember what they did during
Yeah.
They need you to forget that. It's like the Democrats want to remove all the monuments around Dallas, you know, from the Civil War. They don't want you to remember who they are because they've got to build themselves and under somebody else.
But that's sad. Okay, I can understand that. I was giving a speech in Alabama 3 weeks ago. Well, nice people down there. It was a Republican speech. Actually, they had so much controversy that they sold 150, but after the controversy, they went up to 500, which is pretty good for them. But Judge Moore was there. Remember him? Yeah. He was screwed up. He's suing this Baja, what's his name? The guy that went after me big time during my campaign. Vicious on me and Trump. I'm not going to, this is X-rated, not even R-rated. So they went after the judge. He's suing him. But it's sad. He's a nice guy. I never met the guy. We kind of see eye to eye. He's running again, I think, for Senate again this year. Whether he can make it or not, who knows? But we sure will need a guy that's in there now. So, but I just, certain things I can't forget. And the Vietnam veterans is one of them. And everywhere I go, I talk about it. Because nobody, you're right. They want to cover it up. There's certain things. I'm not going to get into Shaq O'Neal. Maybe I will. He's a ball player. I think I will. You know why? Because nobody covered my story. 300 media, I sent it out. Nobody. So I guess it depends who you are. And my story is this, because they called, during for the speech, they were calling me a racist, a former senator called me a racist, state legislature called me a racist. Why do you invite this racist to speak? This is in St. Louis. So you know what? I said, I'm going to defend myself. So I had news clips of Shaq when I made him a special deputy. And I promoted him to colonel. So I keep all my TV clips. Thank God for the TV. I'm making a record for it. So, you know what I did? I fired him for using the N-word. And I said, even my deputies I would fire for using the N-word. So now we come up to now calling me a racist. So I went to my clip, showed it to the whole world that he used the N-word, and just by ironic situation that happened the day before, the owner of Papa John's Pizza was fired because he used the N-word on the telephone. And they hired Shaq the next day, made him take the place. So here's a guy that uses the N-word, I fire him, and then I also got into my grandkids, which I'm not going to burn my grandkids, but I will just say of different races. And everywhere in this country I'm called a racist, which is okay. It doesn't bother me because they call everybody a racist.
Right.
If they don't like it, it's always a racist.
Yeah.
You know, the famous word. So it must be a double standard. If I said that word, I'd be in the headlines. They even get rid of the high school if someone says the N-word, they expel the guy. And here you got this guy. Now, I'm tired of hearing, well, a black can do it to another black. Really? We're supposed to set an example. If everybody forget what color you are. You don't use that word. Kids read it, kids hear them. Oh, it's okay. So these ball players should set examples. And the cover-up is nobody would print it. Is that because he's so powerful that he does advertising? I can go on and on. So I brought that out. I'm not ashamed to bring it up. Sometimes you got to fight back. My Italian blood boils. Because when I grew up, Italy came to interview me last week from Roma. And I was even ashamed to say what they asked me is, you know, I don't like throwing bad words out there, but I remember when I grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts, in an Italian neighborhood, and they used to call me, I don't think we got any Italians here, do we?
Okay, go ahead.
What did they call you when you grew up?
Diego?
Oh, that's only one thing. How about WAP?
Yeah.
I never knew, listen to this, I knew it was a bad word, but I never knew until several years ago what WAP meant. It's without papers. So they were calling me an illegal 60 years ago. But I didn't make a big deal over it. I kind of, then there's the other word, Guinea, too. I guess they got that from the country New Guinea or Guinea or whatever. But that's okay. You can do that against other ethnic groups, but when you do it with the black community, wow, you're in deep trouble. Deep trouble. But we got to set the example for everybody not to use those words. I don't care who you are. I was afraid, I didn't know if I wanted to say it on Italian TV. Well, she says, go ahead, come on, it's not that bad. Okay, so I mentioned those 3 words. But even then, I'm in Texas. When I was head of the DEA, I go to Laredo, you know where that is. I look at the menu, I see WAP salad. So, this is Texas, so I act stupid. Waitress, what is WAP salad? She says, Italian. I said, why do you say Italian? Why are you saying WAP? I mean, she didn't know any better. So when I was a sheriff, I found a place in Houston, Texas. They had WAP salad on the menu. So I call them, undercover, from Phoenix. I said, hey, you got WAP salad? Oh yeah, I got WAP salad. I'd like to order some WAP salad. I'm having a party. Oh, we'll take care of you. Okay, I'll get back to you. Because I want to figure out how to play this. Check this guy out. He wasn't Hispanic. Okay, can't blame the Hispanics. I called him back. And he got suspicious. Wait a minute. You're from Arizona. How'd you know that? Well, since I'm not an expert on that stupid thing, I found out that when you call, you can track it, you know, your area code. So that ended that. But it doesn't bother me what they call me. You got to know who you are. So, but it's just the way they made this such a big political issue. You know, that it's really out of line. So I bring that out as a little story that happened 10 days ago. Yes.
Oh. My name is...
Filming this?
Yes, sir.
Are you with CNN?
I'm a... No, I'm not with CNN. No. My name is Rudy Davis, and I'm a Christian prison ministry. We run a non-profit Christian prison ministry. Thank you. And first of all, I want to thank you for your work with illegal immigration and your stance on that. Very much appreciated from Texas. I'm a 4th generation Texan. And I want to thank you for your work what you did to prove that Obama's birth certificate is a forgery. My friend Terry Lakin is a lieutenant colonel in the Army, and he spent 6 months in Fort Leavenworth prison because of that issue. And I went to his trial, and I praise God for your work on that issue.
Yes.
The website that we have is IHateTheFBI.com, and that might be a little harsh for some in the room. But I have just spoken on the phone a few weeks ago with Randy Weaver, where Lon Horiuchi was a sniper and shot Vicky Weaver in the head, and he's never been held accountable. I visited the Waco Memorial several years in a row, where my friend Clive Doyle, his daughter, died in the fires as FBI stood on their tanks as the building went up in flames. And so also I wanted to bring to your attention Congressman Steve Stockman.
Yes.
He has, his bumper sticker said, for those of you in the room who want to know about Congressman Steve Stockman, he said, If babies had guns, they would not be aborted. I have met Patty Stockman. She is a dear, sweet Christian soul. And the Obama administration has railroaded Congressman Steve Stockman. He's in jail, and he will die in jail.
He's from Houston.
Yes, he will die in jail if he doesn't get a pardon from President Trump. And he wanted Loretta Lynch to be arrested. He wanted Lois Lerner to be arrested. He was calling for the arrest of Eric Holder, and he was calling for the arrest of Obama. He was our people. And we have forgotten about him, and he will die in prison if he doesn't get a pardon from President Trump. And I'm just asking you, as well as everyone in the room, that we pray for and we lift up the name Congressman Steve Stockman, who does not need to die in prison.
Amen.
It's the same kind of charges as they went. It's the same kind of charges as they brought against Dinesh D'Souza. It's total frame-up.
So anyway, I want to thank you for. Do you go into the jails? And
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you for doing that. They say I run the toughest jails, but I'm a nice guy too. I had 400, I did, volunteer clergy to come in and talk to the inmates. I find the inmates jobs when they get out. So I do a lot of, they may have to eat the garbage, but it's not the Hilton. The tents are men and women fighting for our country, living in tents. So why are these guys complaining? They're all convicted, living in tents. In fact, the president maybe should be putting tents up, not for the kids, for the adults, and put the kids in another place. So if I could survive 24 years with Tent City in the desert with 120 degrees and nothing really happened, half a million people came through those tents, including some high-profile people, I won't say it right now. So there's always a double standard. So I remember that Congressman, he's pretty active on the birth certificate and things like that.
Where's Obama's birth certificate.com?
Amen.
You know, every one of my campaign people and the politicians doing my campaigns, don't mention the birth certificate. Don't mention the birth certificate. You'll be destroyed. I really don't understand that, because a lot of people in this country want something done about it.
Amen.
Amen. Sure, a certain TV that I used to be on every day, they don't have me on every day, because one time I mentioned that certificate. Nobody wants to talk about it. But I got a book coming out, if I ever get it done, and the true story is going to come out.
Good. You ain't need another copy. Put a baby footprint on the certified certificate. All they had to do was take your sock off and put ink on a paper and have them stand on it and compare it. I've had a copy of his certified birth certificate from Kenya since before he got it the first time with a baby footprint. So if they wanted to know if he was legitimate, all they had to do was take his socks off.
In Hawaii, during our investigation, we found out that if you're living there for a year, say the year from another country, you move to Hawaii, you spend a year, gather your utility water bills, go down, show them that you've been there a year, and you get an American birth certificate. You know that? They worry about the wall. What about Hawaii, where you can go in there and get a birth certificate? So we're all screwed up on all this. It all ties up to illegal immigration. And we got a president that at least has some guts to speak out about it. You know?
He knows the details.
Tell me why that there was 95,000 illegals that voted in the last election in Dallas and in Texas. 95,000. There's only one prosecuted. 95,000. That's enough to turn some of the next big country. And if you look at the mess that we've got over in Dallas County right now, with all the officials over there, and how many of them gone to jail in the last 10 or 15 years, you know, this is part of the reason. They get elected by aliens that vote because they get paid for a dollar.
You can do something about it in your little way. It's vote and talk. Power of the people. I told you at the beginning, there's a silent majority out there. Believe
Yes, there
me.
is.
Everywhere I go, I got women coming up to me. Oh, I'm a Trump person. They won't go out public. So hold on, we got to get the mayor here elected. Because I don't know about this town, how far back they are on illegal immigration. But you listen to me, Mayor. We got to get you elected so you can, at least on this local level, fight. Shame on you, which I know you won't do. I'm a good character. Shame on you, you flip-flop. I'm not going to talk to you again. Yeah.
We'll be talking for a long time.
No, all these politicians will say anything to get elected, and then they change. She's not going to change.
You know, I'm not a politician. I'm a mother of 4, and I've lived in Arlington for a long time, and it's not like I've got nothing better to do.
So when they pump all the money against her, I guess she's got a lot of this establishment trying to get the current guy re-elected because she's the establishment. Big business around here, football teams and all that. They don't want to rock the boat. What are you kidding? All they want is the money. So you got to get somebody here that will speak up for the people. They're the ones that run the place. The people do. But you got to get the right people in place to do that. I have never asked anybody for endorsement. None. They all ask me. You know what I said all the time? I've been elected 6 times. I'm the longest serving sheriff in history in Maricopa County. And we're the 3rd largest sheriff's office in the country. I can put all of your 20 sheriffs into my one. Not that mouth and the other sheriffs. Everybody has their own constituency. I'm not that mouth, but I don't ask for it. You know what I do? I want the endorsements of the voters, the people. That's all I care about. So that's what we have to do.
Will you take one more,
One
Joe?
more
I'm
question.
going to bring the future mayor back up to say hello to everybody.
One more
question?
Can you say something? You just want to make a statement.
It may not be important.
Soros is what?
There's a lot of money behind all the machines.
George Soros is not going to feel what not because he went after me personally, the type of person he is, trying to destroy this country. And it's going to catch up with him one day. You wait. Time is running out. And the quicker he goes, the better it'll be for this guy. I'm not saying anything dangerous, but let him retire, go on his ship.
George, what she was trying to say, because she's a judge for the jury, Bruce, the voting booths, and what she's trying to say is that those booths have been manipulated. Be careful of early voting and also vote paper. Very important.
Right.
You can only vote paper on election day, not early voting. Yes. We have the machines, the same machines they have in Dallas. And they're all whacked.
Is that it? He's the boss.
So much for that fantastic amount of time that we got from you, and thank you so much for your endorsement. I want everybody to stand up. We big stretch. It's a long time in a warm room to stand up for our freedom of speech. Great job, everybody. Let's give Sheriff a round of applause. I just want y'all to know, he's right. The establishment is absolutely against me because I'm willing to stand up for what is right. And so they have raised over $130,000 for that campaign, and we have been working on a dime. So there are going to be some tins going around. Feel free to donate if you feel so compelled. Early voting is April 14th, and the general vote is May 4th. So I hope that I can earn your vote, the vote of your friends, the vote of your family members. Please spread the word. Ashton Stauffer for May 4th, Mayor of Arlington, and I hope y'all had a wonderful time tonight. Thank you so much.
Hey, you mind if I give you a card? Sure. Getting a card to everybody I can. This is our website for innocent people in prison. God bless you, brother. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. We got a lot of innocent people. What's your name again? 13 points, right? Thank you. You got it. I'm from Dallas. Arpaio Hospital. 4th generation hospital. All right, God bless you. You mind if I give you a card?
Anyway, they won't kick me out.
This is our website of innocent people in prison. Yeah, it's terrible. Thank you for your prayers.
Look, man, if you want me to speak somewhere, I don't mind being controversial. I can be respectful, but I enjoyed it. He's my dad.
I think controversial is a word. We learn from one another.
Just don't get mad at each other.
You mind if I meet you? You mind if I give you a card? This is the innocent people in prison that have been railroaded and their lives have been destroyed, but we're going to keep advocating for them. And we've got a website where we work
with the Innocence Project.
Oh yeah, Darlene Routier. Her case has just been picked up by the Innocence Project in New York. We're going to get. Yeah, God bless you. All right, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. You mind if I give you a card? Yes, sir. This is our website for unjustly incarcerated prisoners. Yeah, let me give you one too. May give you a couple of them. There's a lot of innocent people in prison, you know, and so we try to advocate for unjustly incarcerated, severely over-sentenced, and we believe our judicial system needs massive overhaul. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. You mind if I give you a card? I'm giving cards, everybody's standing around, you know. But yeah, we have a lot of innocent people in prison. That man right there is who I refer to as America's most provably innocent political prisoner, and his name is David Heason. He's spending 43 years in prison on the testimony of one man who's a known liar. And just insanity. But my phone number's on there if you have any questions at all. Hi. Hi. You mind if I give you a card?
Oh, no, no,
Great, great. This is innocent people in prison, and we just advocate that, you know, our system needs massive overhaul. And the website that we put together has their stories and details.
Okay.
Yeah, we collect their letters from prison and their phone calls. So.
Yes,
Right.
yes, hi.
Well, thank you.
Oh, yeah, you know what? We're going to have a big rally in Fort Worth.
Is it Darlene Routier?
What?
Are you familiar with Darlene Routier?
Yes.
We believe she's innocent.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Now, that one I don't. Now, Julius Jones in Oklahoma, and there's a couple of Richard. Yeah, there are a couple of them in Oklahoma that I don't believe are innocent, but I do believe she's
You believe she's guilty? Yeah. Why do you think she's guilty?
I saw. I mean, because you know what I mean.
You know they found a bloody sock down the road, right?
I know they did. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Have you seen the bruises on the arms and the self-inflicted wounds?
Yeah.
That's really tough.
I think that woman was so eaten up with herself. Really? You know what I mean?
Okay. She would have to be a complete absolute devil to be able to slit her wrist and poke her knife in her arm and do all those self-inflicted wounds.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? And if her children were murdered the way they were, you know, I mean, she would have been murdered. I mean, it wouldn't have been. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, so, you know, on that one.
Yeah, well, we're all entitled to have
maybe it's a woman thing.
Yeah, maybe it is. Yeah.
You know?
Well, they did a good job on the video, right?
Well, they played that innocent video over and over again, and I don't believe that has any relevance to her. Yeah, she's playing the silly screen. That doesn't prove guilt. I mean,
that was really odd.
No, it may be odd, but it doesn't mean she's guilty. I mean, if you're a Christian and your children have gone on to heaven, and she was there 2 hours crying before that particular video.
I know. Yeah, the last offense, they had that show on. They had that show on ABC.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
Oh yes.
Yeah. The last offense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Let me give you another name. Barbara Holden. They said she killed her wife killed her husband about 30 years ago. She's got a website called BarbaraHolden.us. Her case is much more clear-cut. I believe she is innocent. She's not on death row. She's in the same prison as Darlene, Gatesville, Texas. But instead of death row, Darlene's on death row. Barbara is on life. And did you know that Texas also can't use his phone?
I'll pray, but I wanted to tell you, I'm sorry for interrupting because I got kids to get home from school.
Okay.
But I want to tell you that you spoke extremely well. You made your point. Don't let him get away from you.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Don't let him get away from you. Because you told me you got a hero. You got a hero. I want you to take this to your hero.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Right, exactly.
Don't let him get away from you.
Yeah, exactly.
I come from a legal background. My name's Trey Parker. I tried.
My phone number's on there, and this is what I do for praise God, yeah, praise God.
I've seen him on Fox.
Let me turn this camera off. It's still going.